This is the plaintiff, Nathaniel. He says he worked like a dog hauling 100 yards of dirt to the defendant's property, and the louse is refusing to pay him. He transported dirt for over 29 hours in his truck and is owed every penny of the $2,141.45 he's suing for. This is the defendant, Joseph Roberts. He says the plaintiff lied to him because he told him it would be costing him $80 per load and said it would take 5 loads. He was willing to pay the guy $400 as agreed, but as it turns out, the dirt is no good because it's septic. He's accused of getting dirty with a trucker. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $2,200 for removal of dirty fill.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket, the plaintiff hauled 100 yards of dirt for the defendant and got stiffed, but the defendant says the plaintiff lied about the price. It's a case of what a load.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Okay, you're representing your company. You want to be referred to only as Nathaniel. You are suing Joseph and Kelly Roberts. You have power of attorney to represent the two of you?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. For $2,141.45, you say you are owed.
That is correct.
For hauling some landfill to his place. You are counterclaiming $2,200 to remove it because according to you, it's contaminated. All right, where did this fill come from? Let's start with you.
It came from a septic system we were installing in Swansea, Massachusetts.
In a home?
Yes.
So had the septic tank been there or you were installing a new one or what?
We were installing a new one.
All right, so you excavated soil, gravel, earth.
Yep.
And then you had big piles and you wanted to get rid of them.
Exactly.
And do you have a picture of the piles so I have a sense of how much it is?
I don't have a picture of the piles. I do have a picture of the old excavation where the dirt came from.
Okay. So you put an ad where?
On a Facebook page for advertising free fill.
Okay. And then you announce that you have how much free fill?
About 120 yards.
Okay. And then so it's free, right?
It is free.
They just have to take it off your property.
Exactly.
And then what went down with that agreement?
Well, when we had initially spoke, they thought they had a trailer and could take it off site. By the time my job actually got going, their trailer wasn't available anymore. So they offered to hire me to truck it to them.
Okay. Who's they? Who did you talk to about trucking it?
I spoke with his wife.
To his wife, not to him?
Correct.
Okay. And what was the agreement that you reached with his wife?
So at this point in the conversation, having discussed, I discussed it directly with him when we stopped by with the first load and the truck.
And what was discussed?
I showed him the truck, and I said it was going to be $80 an hour for us to truck it.
And what did he say?
He said that was okay.
Okay. And how many hours did you say it was going to take you?
We didn't. That wasn't specified.
When you say you showed him the truck, how many hours did you think it would take you? You know how much you have. You know how big your truck is.
It's dependent on traffic, loading times, dumping time.
How many truckloads would it have taken to clear the stuff out, the 120 yards?
12 trips.
12 times?
Yes.
So did you tell him, listen, it's going to take 12 times?
Yes. Well, I believe so.
You ended up with a smaller truck, right? So it took more times?
Correct.
Okay. So, and he has to pay for that? What happened to the big truck?
So the problem we ran into is he ran out of space on his property for us to fit the big truck in. In order to keep the job moving, we had to keep hauling material out. So we needed a physically smaller truck to...
How many days did this take?
4 in total.
It's a lot of fill.
Correct.
What did you need it for?
We have a ravine on the side of our yard, and we just wanted to fill in a lot of that area.
Okay. And what was the discussion you had about what you were going to be paying for
Yes, Your Honor.
to have it brought?
So the first part of what Nate had said was actually correct. He showed up in a large truck. To me, I guess it's a tractor trailer truck, and he dropped off. When he had discussed it, he said, I asked him how much was there. He said, it's about 18 to 20 yards, I think he said. And I said, okay. And he said that it would be $80 per, I thought, I don't remember it saying an hour, but he said $80 for this load. So I said, okay. And he had told me where he was
Y'all
at.
so loosey-goosey. Nobody bothers to get anything in writing, either by email, by text, or by actually grabbing a crayon and the nearest roll of toilet paper and writing it out. Nobody thinks a $2,000 job, and you're not going to actually get, some proof that someone agreed to pay you that amount of money for the stuff that you're dying to get off your property?
Your Honor, I do have text messages of him admitting that he hired us at $80 an hour with that truck.
Oh, I'd love to see that. Because your version is that he's going to charge you $80 per truck, and you were getting 100 yards, and every truck had 20 yards, so you figured you were paying $400. That's your version.
And he said he wasn't sure, but he might have as much as 120. So I figured maybe it would be as much as $480.
Actually, and while he's looking for that, you have a counterclaim against him now for $2,200 to remove this stuff. Why?
Correct, Your Honor. Well, after he had dropped it off and we had looked at the fill, we started to notice that there were septic system covers in it, as well as septic system piping, some tubing, I guess electrical tubing that connects to the septic system. I brought some other information from a PhD from a university that speaks about how that fill is supposed to be disposed of. And that you're not...
Okay, stop. Give me that PhD thing you're talking about.
Okay.
Is this someone you hired for this case, or you just got something off the internet?
Just got something off.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I still want to see it. Go ahead.
To how that fill is supposed to be disposed of and how you're not supposed to use it for over a year, and you're not supposed to use within 3 feet of the septic system any of that fill. And that clearly from the pictures, it had to have been within 3 feet if it had the septic system cement as well as covers.
Okay, there's a bunch of back and forth, and then you write this on August 13th. Hey, Nate, this is Joe Roberts. My wife told me what you guys had discussed, but I just went through the math with her, and that still does not seem right to me. I'm sorry. Before you came on the first load, you spoke to me over the phone. You said you would charge me $80 an hour for the truck.
Okay.
These are your words.
Yeah.
You said it took about half an hour each way, so that would be 1 hour per load. You dumped out the fill, and it was at least 12 cubic yards of fill, possibly even more. Is that true?
No, it was 10.
Okay, so let's say it's 10.
Yeah.
And you've got 100 yards, then it should be 10 hours, which would never be the 400 you're talking about. It would be 800.
Yes, 800.
That's a truck you showed me. I simply cannot pay double the price for the amount of fill. Your price is coming out to be more than double what you led me and my wife to believe it was going to cost us. You can't change the truck sizes and cubic yards amount after we agreed upon a specific price for a specific truck. Is there anywhere where you tell him, all right, now I'm going to have a little truck and take all kinds of time to do this? Is that any of that in the text?
That conversation did not take place. However, I was understanding that he was caught off guard by the price. So I tried to look at it from a perspective of, had we hauled it all with a big truck, what would it have cost? And you can pay that. There was also other texts where he had told me that he expected to pay $1,400, and that was the money he expected to pay. So I tried settling at that.
And what happened?
When I said, well, just give me a check for the $1,400 today and we'll call it good, he came back and said, I'll give you $800. So every time I tried to settle, he'd lower the amount, and I'm trying to be reasonable.
Yeah, and I see a text where you sent him, could you give my wife a call? I think she was figuring she was going to be around $1,200 to $1,400.
Yes, it had actually gone.
You don't sound like somebody who thinks he's supposed to be paying $800.
What I had said to Nate, I'm trying to guesstimate how much fill cost in our area, clean fill delivered, which this clearly wasn't clean fill as it was advertised on clean fill.
Okay, well, let me ask you about that. You're suing because you now, do you have an estimate for taking the stuff off your property?
I don't, other than Nate's estimate of the $2,200.
That you're saying is ridiculous, and yet you're suing for $2,200, which is really funny. All right, and now I also would like to know, what evidence do you have? I know that you saw septic stuff, and I know you went online, but did you have the soil treated to find out if there's something wrong with the soil?
I did not. I only went on what I saw online, as well as from this university.
And what say you to that?
Okay, so he is correct. There was a cast concrete cover in the pile.
Yeah, that's kind of a bad sign.
But I have pictures here of what that was. It was an in-ground drainage system from their driveway. It was just for stormwater, There was no effluent.
I'm supposed to believe it wasn't close to the old septic when the entire job you're doing is putting in a new septic where the old septic was?
There wasn't a septic. It was a vacation home where they had a sewage pipe that went straight into the bay.
But, Your Honor, he led with the fact.
Stop a second. Hold on. Are you serious?
Yeah, that's why they made us do it. It's about as illegal a system as it comes. But all these houses were built in the 50s.
But even in the 50s, that had to be illegal. Maybe it wasn't in the 50s.
The way Massachusetts regulations are set up, there's what's called the Title V law, which governs how wastewater, human waste is treated for in-ground treatment. But it cedes all the power to each individual town's health agent. So the health agent can say whatever he wants.
In your advertisement on that Facebook page, you did say it's mostly clean. And why weren't you concerned with the words mostly clean?
Actually, I thought that it said very clean, Your Honor. I have a
Actually, it does.
text message from
mostly very clean.
From him to my wife where he says that the fill is very clean.
Let's see what he says.
Overall.
That's not. Need people to grab it Monday. It's pretty good stuff. A few larger rocks, but very clean overall. That is what you say. Septic cover. And you're saying this is not a septic cover, it's a what?
It is a precast cover to a concrete basin for leaching storm runoff. So it's not contaminated water.
There's some pipes in it, too.
There actually is.
What are the pipes from?
If you look at this photo.
What are the pipes from?
Probably pieces that got left
from
in the
what?
From this drainage system.
You really should have had the soil tested.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, you should. Because if you had the soil tested, it would have cost you a couple $100, and then you would be in a really grand position right now if it was contaminated. Penny wise and pound foolish.
So if the plaintiff didn't establish and nail down a price, and the worker does the work, can the worker charge whatever he does as long as it's not excessive?
Yeah, you're stuck with it. That's the price you're paying.
You're just stuck with whatever it costs to do what he says, look, I spent 9 hours and here's my price, you got to pay it.
I think it should be based off whatever the standard price, in the market for that position or job.
Yeah, but what if it's not standard? What if he says, look, I charge $50 an hour. I don't care if others charge $35 and I spent 5 hours, so I want $250.
It's got to be the regular rate. Can't be something excessive. It's got to be the standard rate what most people would charge to do the certain job.
Fair enough. Going inside the courtroom.
Have you paid anybody to have that stuff removed from your property?
Nope.
So you don't seem all that worried then.
No, that's not the case, Your Honor. And my understanding was that I had asked Nate to come back and pick up the material. And
that was after he tried to settle with you for the $1,400 your wife had anticipated it would cost.
Correct.
From your text, and then you said, just come pick it up. Which is a great thing to say when someone's trying to collect money from you because they're like, I'm not going to pick it up.
I do know, Your Honor, that in Massachusetts you have to have a special environmental type license to do the Title V and to both remove and install septic systems.
I got an idea. Why don't you guys spend half the time you have spent researching Massachusetts law after the fact, writing down a simple agreement, I will deliver this for X dollars. How's that? That would have been peachy keen, right?
Agreed.
On your counterclaim against him, you don't have the easiest of evidence that you could have to show me that there was a problem with the soil or the fill. All you had to do was get it tested. And instead of bringing me that, you have a $2,000 lawsuit because there is a concrete circle and some pipes, and you have assumed that that means that you have a septic system inside of all that soil that is now contaminated, and you want me to jump to the conclusion that pipes and wire and a concrete circle means that there's a septic tank with contaminated effluent on your property, when there's such a simple test for that, and you didn't do that. So on your counterclaim against him, 0. And on your claim against him, it would have been oh so simple for you two to agree beforehand to what it was going to be. I do see where he goes back and forth on the 80 an hour and it's half an hour away. And of course that doesn't take into account shoveling it into or using the thing. I understand that. And I don't think he really ever thought it was going to be 800. And I do feel like maybe he's taking advantage of the situation now that it's all on his property. But I'm not going to order him to pay you the amount that you're asking because you ended up with a smaller truck and it took longer and that wasn't with his approval. You're saying it was necessary, but I don't know that it was necessary. So this is the part of the People's Court where I do a little
rough justice.
That's right. I'm ordering you to pay him $1,600. Verdict for the plaintiff.
Thank you.
So the plaintiff prevails on his lawsuit. The defendant does not prevail on his. I'm sorry you didn't get your countersuit.
Right.
Are you sorry you didn't have? Did you ever think about having the soil tested?
No, I didn't even know that was something to do.
Wow. As the judge said, it was a foolish mistake on your part.
Correct.
Okay. So, well, you're going to have to pay him $1,600.
Right.
Okay. You really should learn how to make an agreement, both of you. Okay.
That's true.
You're
That's true.
kind of foolish. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, Nathaniel. It's amazing you didn't make a signed agreement, as the judge says. A crayon and some toilet paper.
I fully admit it was foolish on my part. If things were moving fast, we seemed to have everything backed up through Facebook Messenger and text messages, and I thought that'd be enough to get us through. But it's the fact that we're in court today proves
you're
it
wrong,
wasn't.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
You've learned a lesson.
I have.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Harvey?
The countersuit, Doug, about these, pipes and wires and everything else and the contaminants. You can't win this on a theory. You've got to have expert testimony at the very least, an expert writing down what the findings are, and that wasn't the case here.